Animation is more than just what gives anime its name. It's like saying books are just collections of words. It is the lifeblood, the pure embodiment of passion that fuels the storylines we love. It is more than just flashy moments or impact frames. Animation is what gives us the reason to care. Here are the nominees for Best Animation of 2025.
And the R Anime Awards winner for Best Animation is City the Animation, picked by the jury. And Dandadan Season 2, chosen by the public vote.
Now, I don't think either of these winners is particularly surprising. I think the animation quality is evident within both. But what are your thoughts, Lindsay? What do you think drew people to choose these?
Well, both of them are by wonderful animation studios. Dandadan Season 2 is by Science Saru, who has been hitting this adaptation out of the park. Season 1 had amazing animation, and Season 2 as well. And then City the Animation, that's by Kyoto Animation, and they've come back now to adapt another Keiichi Aoi series. They previously did Nichijou, which was a fan favorite comedy. So in City the Animation, for its animation, I think one of its real standouts was episode 5, where they do quite a few like cut screens and like interset segments all on top of one another. I believe there's even stop motion animation used in that episode. So it's very, very unique series, and it has a very unique look to it.
I mean, that sequence is truly spectacular. I mean, I remember when I was watching it, them doing the simultaneous cutscenes, and then it would just keep going on and on and on and on. I think the final keyframe count for that episode is insane. It blows everything else out of the water.
I don't think it's even the biggest keyframe count of the show, actually. That would be
Really?
Yeah, that would be episode 13 with the musical episode. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure the sheets used in episode 13 are more than 5. The show is obviously like very ambitious. Like you can see in episodes 5, 9 and 13, like the scale is pretty much unimaginable for a regular TV anime. The 9 has the big city race. Like it's a race through the entire town essentially. And what it does is it does like these continuous one take shots, and it does that through pure background animation. There's not like a digital cut that they're using. Like it's not like using 3D cameras. It's all background animated. It's all going through these very complex motions, and the characters are changing up, and there's like almost like 40-50 characters racing at one point in the final moments of that race, which is pretty insane to think about. But yeah, the show, when it wants to go hard, it really goes hard. But like the real charm of the show, I think animation wise, is when it's just doing like normal like slice of life stuff, and it's just like characterizing it, characters being like funny in like interesting ways they move, you know? Like there's this character called Wako Izumi, and she essentially breaks like the logic of the world. Like she moves through she moves through ways in which you're like, oh, this is interesting. This is not something that you're likely to see. It's like something that is, it's like manga logic applied to animation, but moving in a way where it's like, oh, it makes sense. It's like a very funny, cartoony kind of thing.
Yeah, a lot of charm of the series is or are the characters for sure, and just the physicality of how they exist within the quote unquote city. The split screen madness in episode 5 was top pick for our reviewers at Anime News Network too, when we had to select the best moments. It was so impressive.
You know, Lindsay, what's your personal philosophy when you come to appreciating animation in anime? Like I know some people are all about the super big moments, the impact frames, the big whiteouts and stuff like that. Other people are really into the kind of more subtle character animation, the stuff that seems like it wouldn't be very hard to do in real life, but to actually animate on screen. I just want to see a little bit about your philosophy when it comes to that.
Well, I think both of those are extremely valid. It really depends on what the series itself is trying to accomplish via mood and timing and actions. So like Dawn to Dawn and City of the Animation are almost two sides of the same coin. I feel like Dawn to Dawn's amazing animation is in service of like getting your energy up while watching these elaborate fight scenes that are happening between Okarun and whatever like creature or spirit or whatnot that he's fighting at the time, and Momo as well, coming in there with her giant spirit hands and stuff like that. So it's all to get you really amped up. But then you have stuff like Frierin's first season and things like that, where, I mean, they had amazing action moments, but there's also these really beautiful quiet moments where, you know, you can focus on very well animated like facial expressions in order to get like the sadness across, make it seem more devastating. Something that's airing right now that is a good example might be Journal with Witch, where there aren't, there's nothing big and flat. This is a family drama, but I was just talking with some colleagues about episode 7, which IMO had probably one of the sexiest scenes in animation recently. And it's just two fully clothed characters sitting on a bench, but his fingers are going through her hair a certain way. And they're, animating the looks and the facial expression and the body movements to really like up the eroticism without it actually ever being, I mean, it's lewd, but not in that kind of sense, right? So, I mean, you can animation is great just in that you can do really well animated scenes that have completely different purposes. And I enjoy both.
Yeah, Audie, I'm curious to see if you are noticing any of those, or if that came up at all during jury discussion with some of these other shows. What these kind of like little like moments that make you go wow anyway.
Yeah, I think Bisque is an example of a show where there's like a lot of very small moments where you see it's like really well studied. Like Tomoki Yoshikawa's work in particular is like you feel like he's a shipper for the characters, and the way he animates them is like they have this dynamic where you can feel like he wants them to be closer. Like he wants. He wants to show why Marine feels so much affection to Gojo, and then that comes across in her body movements and stuff like that is really interesting. But then the show also has like really, loud comedic moments, like when Marine's like she has like a tape on her face that comes off because like she does cosplaying and stuff, right? And because of that, she has like this very cartoony, flustered run that again is animated by Yoshikawa. So it's like it has multiple registers like that.
Yeah, the last thing I just wanted to leave off on is that, our winners here are from two like pretty prestigious anime studios, right? So we've got Kyoto Animation on one side, we've got Science Star on the other side. I find it's just kind of interesting that we have these studios with kind of big identities, right? I wanted to see, well, first of all, like what's Lindsay, what's your history of Kyoto Animation? Did you enjoy their previous works? And what exactly is it about them that is able to consistently output this kind of high quality animation?
I mean, I've watched a fair number of Kyoto Animation works. There are some popular ones that I have not, just because it's not my usual like genre choice. But I mean, a lot of folks are familiar with the Sound Euphonium series and just how gorgeous that has always looked. I did watch most of Free, which was, amazing in its own different way. I feel like Free and Sound Euphonium are kind of similar, just with different target audiences, right? But I've also remember really liking one of the Beyond the Boundary, which I don't think everyone enjoyed that one as much, but I actually really liked Beyond the Boundary quite a bit. And Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid is another one that I've watched recently, although I haven't seen the latest movie. And they're very consistent in being able to adapt these emotionally charged original works, as well as these more comedic ones like City the Animation. They have a great sense of timing. The colors are always really vivid in everything that they do, and there's a fluidity to all of their animation, I think, that's been consistent. Science Saru, though, if I had to have a pet favorite studio right now, it would be Science Saru. They were headed by Masaaki Yuasa for quite a while. He's not a primary director there anymore. He's kind of moved on to some other works. He's got a new one coming out actually through a different studio. But Science Saru, Keep Your Hands Off Eizouken is when I started paying attention really closely to them, and Devilman Crybaby. So both of those were top favorites for me. Japan Sinks I reviewed for ANN, and that one's interesting. I don't know if it did everything that maybe they were setting out to do, but I'm really interested to see what they do with the new Ghost in the Shell that's going to be coming out. And are they doing Witch of Mongol? I thought they were. Yes, Witch of Mongol is top of my hype list right now. So they haven't let me down yet.
Addy, I was wondering if you could provide some input on
Thunder for the jury side.
Yeah.
Okay. So for the jury side, we had basically we liked every show on here. The public chose Dandadan for a pretty great reason. I think the great reason's name is Saitova or Gentai Shimori. He's done basically every big highlight this season. He did the cuts where Evil Eye takes over Gigi. He did the cuts where Gigi and Evil Eye basically combined form. They're fighting with the worm using the soccer ball thing, right? Every cut you think of as a big part of the season is by Saitova. And I do think it's due to structural issues at Science Saru that this series is so dependent on a few individual voices as opposed to something like City where everything is working in harmony and the entire team can work with intent essentially. Because there's a huge chunk of the season where it's it has interesting ideas, but it doesn't feel like it can reach those ideas to their peak form essentially. And there are some skeletals of fights where you think this is somewhere they can go more dynamic, they can go more sketchier if it was old Science Saru, or if it's the new polished version they're trying to be, it could be more solid essentially. But the current version is kind of caught in the middle of nowhere. It feels like the first take as opposed to the best take that it could be. And I think that's because this season wasn't made in the best of circumstances, and it kind of shows.
When you say it's not made in the best circumstances, are you talking about the director Yamashiro stepping back and letting Abel Gongora take over for the second season?
Yeah, though Yamashiro did the middle part of the season and Abel did the first 4 episodes and the last 3. And I think this split parallel production happened because they were basically crunching. This season wasn't even supposed to be a split coup, right? They had to delay the season for a whole year because the production was that crunched up, and it gave them more time. And because of that, what we have is very good, but it could be much better because they didn't properly allocate the time. That is what I'm talking about. It's not about which is the director involved, what is they're doing. Because I think Yamashiro is, I don't know if this is a hot take or not, but I think he's a much better director than Gangoro. But his parts do not have that much of animation muscle behind him. He just makes the show more engaging to watch by having better direction. But the parts that Gangoro did, he had the connections to get more of Saitova, but also other outside guests and that made those parts more of a highlight in terms of the animation. But I think that element is there, that this season is very uneven because of the split directors, as you were talking about.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if, I mean, I'm not sure which one led to the other. I interviewed Yamashiro at Anime Expo, not last year, but the year before. So it was for the first season. And I've told a couple people this, but when I met him, he had a stress breakout of eczema. So when I met him, he didn't have eyebrows, and all of his, like, a bunch of his hair had fallen out, and he had a rash that went from the top of his head all the way down to his shirt. And then when when the interview was over, he told me that, like, that rash was all over his body. So I don't know if that happened because they didn't allocate enough time for him and he was so stressed out. But when the second season was announced and it had split directors, I wasn't surprised, just considering how he seemed to be doing at the time when I talked to him. So,
Man, well, you know, that just goes to show the amount of care and the amount of work that goes into producing these series that we love to watch. And I hope everyone is able to check out some of these shows. Thank you so much.
thank you.
Thank you.